Hello everyone, my name is Ali, and chances are if you're watching this, then you and I have a lot in common. I've been dreaming of making games for as long as I've been playing them. And a few years ago, I decided to stop dreaming and start learning. And this has been my journey so far.
Focus on the journey, not the destination. Joy is not found in finishing an activity, but in doing it.
I studied computer science back in Egypt over a decade ago. I graduated, got my degree, and started a job as a web developer, and forgot all about my dream of making games. Because it was easy to be a web developer, I was good at it, and I enjoyed it. So I moved to Amsterdam shortly after graduating, started my career here, and never looked back. I was working 2 jobs at the time, my full-time job as a web developer, and I had a part-time job teaching web development online, which I really loved. But I could never really stop thinking about making games. Every time I'd be playing a game, in the back of my head I'd be thinking, I wonder how this teleportation skill works, or I wonder how they make this explosion look so real, or what engine is this game using in the background. And I would Google these things and I'd acquire bits and pieces of knowledge along the way. I'd open up Unity and make some random things. I made 2D games following tutorials or online courses. I'd even make games in the browser since I knew JavaScript. And I'd make some mobile app games that you could play at a party. But I never took it seriously. It was always just an interest I had, like astronomy, but I'm not going to be an astrophysicist. Until a few years ago when something major happened that made me take game development seriously. I got promoted. I was no longer a software engineer, but an engineering manager. Now, why would this make me take game development seriously? Well, because as a manager, I was no longer writing code in my job, and I just didn't feel like myself. So I decided to still write code in my free time, and that's when I discovered Unreal Engine. I came across a 6-hour-long video on YouTube describing the basics of Unreal Engine, and I watched the entire thing in a single sitting. I was just blown away. And I immediately downloaded the engine and started making anything that popped into my head with no real purpose. At the time, I was playing Horizon Zero Dawn, so I was curious how to make a bow and arrow mechanic. So I Googled, watched YouTube videos, brushed up on some high school physics lessons, and I made this. Now, I wasn't trying to make a game to sell or even release. I just wanted to learn, to create, to build, and to satisfy this urge that I had to translate my ideas into something real that I can share with my friends and be proud of having built. So whenever an idea would pop into my head, I would go to YouTube, watch some videos, and try to add it to my game. By then, I was hooked. I spent every free minute that I had learning about game development. I watched countless hours of YouTube videos. I reached out to game developers in Amsterdam, attended meetups, and I ignored every video or person that told me game development is hard because I knew it was hard, but I wasn't going to let that stop me. Which leads me to the most important thing that I want you to take away from this video. It's very important to know what you're good at and what you're bad at. And ultimately, that will come down to what you enjoy doing and what you can't stand doing. And I was good at writing code, but I was horrible at making art. And you kind of need both to make a game. So here's what I did. Remember the project that I mentioned that was just a mess of random mechanics that were just fun to build? Well, I challenged myself to turn this sandbox into a complete game. Why? Because I needed to learn the process of building a game from start to finish and not get hung up on the small details without even having laid out the big picture. So I made a Trello board, laid down all the tasks needed to complete the game, and just went through them one by one. Through this process, I learned a lot about game development, about Unreal Engine, and about myself. I actually learned that I enjoy 3D modeling, but I'm not going to spend too much time and effort on assets that I can either buy from a marketplace or outsource them to someone else. And I learned that I hate sound design. Finding the right music and the perfect sound effect for every action in the game is a task I was not willing to learn at all. But most importantly, I learned that a lot of the details that felt very important at the time of making them turned out to be completely irrelevant at the end, and a lot more important things popped up. So over a year later, I had a complete game from start to finish. I had 10 levels, I had progression, unlockable skills, boss fights, cinematics, and so much more. So, was this game fun to play? Absolutely not. Can I put it on Steam and maybe sell it? I'd probably get sued over some copyright issues somewhere. But I was so proud of it, because once I was finished, I had a complete game that I had made on my own. Then I really felt that I know what I'm doing and can now start making something that could actually be fun. So what did I do next? Well, I kept learning, gaining a deeper understanding of the things that I find fun and interesting. I made very complex and polished prototypes. I attended game dev conferences. I participated in game jams, and I loved every second of it. And I want to share with you my top learnings from this whole process. But first, there's something I didn't really talk about yet, and that's this YouTube channel. Why did I start this? I reached a point where it was very difficult to learn more about Unreal Engine because the documentation was very limited. The tutorials online were mostly shallow and didn't teach me how to structure a full game and how to scale it or what are the best practices and so on. So I thought to myself, well, if I'm having this problem, I'm sure others are as well. I decided to make tutorials that combine my decade of software engineering knowledge with my teaching knowledge and my newfound game development skills to create tutorials that teach you how to make something that is scalable, reusable, and modular. And that's why most of my tutorials are longer than 45 minutes, because my goal is to educate and not just entertain. With this channel, I aim to build a community of game developers where we can encourage each other, help each other, and stay motivated together. I spend about half my time now growing this channel and the other half working on my latest game, which is an FPS action platformer that I can't wait to share with all of you, but just not yet. And now, if you're new to game development, let me share with you my top 5 tips or lessons that I've learned throughout this journey. Find out what you like and what you don't like about the process of building games. Team up with someone that complements your skills. So if you're an artist but hate programming, you'll find a ton of programmers that hate art, and together you can accomplish so much more. Number 2 is to start small and then iterate, and iterate. Don't try to plan out everything beforehand and think of every small detail or every problem that could occur. Just start with a general concept, learn what you need to learn to prototype it, and get ready for the idea to morph into a better version of itself. But don't get sidetracked by new ideas. Just see it through till the end, because done is so much better than perfect. And number 3 is learn the process, not just the skills. There are definitely a lot of skills needed to create a game, but having a good process and a good workflow is just as important. And I highly recommend this video by Heartbeast, which outlines a very important process, especially if you're a solo dev. Number 4 is to have a goal. Know why you're doing this. Is it to sell a game and make money? Is it just a hobby? Is it to learn the skill and get hired at a game studio? The answer to this question should drive your every decision. And finally, don't let the fact that game development is hard discourage you. Take it as a challenge, and if you're really passionate about it, nothing can stop you. Now, for me, I still have my full-time job as an engineering manager because I need to pay the bills. But I'm hoping that one day soon, and with your support, that I can make this into my career and fully focus on my passion. And if you're watching this video and you've stuck around until the end, then you're already helping make my dream a reality. And if you're a Patreon member, then you are truly and directly supporting the work that I'm doing here, and I am extremely grateful for that. Now, if you want to be part of our community, check out our Discord server, link is in the description. And if you want to support the channel and get exclusive perks, then check out my Patreon, where you can download the full project files of all the tutorials I made and get early access to my latest videos, and of course get my eternal gratitude. Link to that is also in the description, as well as right here. I really hope this video helps some of you on your journey to becoming a game dev, and also helps you connect with me on a more personal level, so I'm not just another face on the internet. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.